Hello, my name is Hunter, and I am a rising sophomore at the Urban School of San Francisco, and this is my RC Hovercraft. The design process for this initially was based off of an Instructable in which the guy built a very similar hovercraft, but I took some liberties of my own, especially in how it was made. To get this body, I designed it in a CAD program, and I then exported that to Illustrator where it could get laser cut. And so that's why these cuts are so precise. And then I could just assemble that with hot glue, which is heavier than something I might choose, but it's way less expensive, dries immediately, and really easy to use. So I went with that because it wasn't worth the weight difference. I had the body designed and cut. It took a long time just for this material, Depron, it's a specialized foam, to arrive. And it took a while for the cuts to be made once that did happen. But afterwards I assembled it in less than a day, and it was pretty easy because of how I designed it. Next, and also going more into the basic design here, there's a plateau of 4 layers that you can't really see under the skirt here. There's a flat one, and then an airflow layer, different cuts that allow the air from this hover fan to go through, then another flat one, and then this top one on which we've mounted these supports. And then there's this frame on top of that you can sort of see in here, and some of it's covered by this paneling, and then finally it is covered with this. And the way I have the 2 fans mounted is the one is just glued in here above the hole that leads to the airflow, and the other one has this little compartment up here, and it's mounted on a servo. I'll get more into that in a second with electronics. So here's the body, and then once I had the body, I had to put all the electronics in it to make it actually work. And so the way this system works is there's a battery here, and that connects to these 2 speed controllers, and they receive an input from the transmitter, and they're basically what tell the fans how much power, how much speed to go with. The speed controllers, each one connects to a fan, and then on the other end they connect to the receiver, which receives this transmitter's signal and is what tells them how fast to go. You can't really see the receiver, but it's what this antenna is attached to, and then so that's attached to both speed controllers, ESCs, and as well as a servo that you can't see at all. It's in this back trunk compartment, and it's under this fan, and it's what allows it to turn. I had a lot of difficulty with mounting this because screws into Depron, into foam, really don't work well. They don't last. And so it took a few different iterations with standoffs and different components before I finally came to one that worked. And it involved a lot of epoxy. So the electronics I got made and put in, mounted with some trouble. And then finally it was time to add the skirt. The skirt is what makes the hovercraft actually hover once there's air in, because it's keeping the air down and it's causing an increase in air pressure below it so that it can actually stay afloat. So the air comes through all these air canals basically and goes out to the edge, and then the skirt holds it in. There's a paracord in the bottom that makes it so that this bottom stays in, and there's also skeleton to do that even better, just made from zip ties. So air comes out, it stays in this cushion temporarily before coming out, but it stays for long enough to create an air cushion. So this is my RC hovercraft, and now I'm going to show you how it works. There's 2 separate power switches to get it going. The first is on the controller right here, and the second is actually within it. There's another switch just so that it's not always on when the battery's plugged in. It lets off, the 2 speed controllers let off beeps to show that they're ready to go and that they were started on low throttle, because they won't start if you boot it up and one's already on full throttle. So here, this is the steering. It drives that servo that spins this back fan. This is the throttle. It controls this back fan back and forth, and will just forwards really, there's no reverse. And this button is what enables the hovering. So let's give it a go. Like I was saying, it doesn't really have a reverse, so you can get stuck in corners and things. But it can turn, assuming it has space. Yeah, that has been my RC Hovercraft. Thank you.